It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. I'm Candace Gish. Well, everybody, we are absolutely welcoming back one of our amazing monthly guests, Brianna Kuhn, and I am so excited. She's got a lot of stuff that's been happening with her, and it's always amazing when this woman comes onto our program because she is what I consider an ultimate diva. And I know that if this is your very first time checking her out, you're going to absolutely love her. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome to all of you. The Divas That Care is now in its 11th season. We are listened to in over 30 countries around the world. And we have a whole bunch of amazing hosts on the Divas That Care network. So make sure you go and check all of them out. As I said, today's guest again is Brianna. So welcome back, Brianna. I'm so excited to hear what's been happening.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love coming in every month and talking about what's going on in my life and offering all different types of tips and advice for other female entrepreneurs and helping them along their journey.
You definitely do that. I get so many tips from you each and every time you come onto the program. But before we dive into today's, would you mind reintroducing yourself to perhaps our brand new listeners?
Of course. So as you said, my name is Brianna Kuhn. I'm located outside of Edmonton, Alberta. I started my business in January of 2020 after being in real estate for about 5 years. My business is called Limitless Impact Virtual Management, and I am a virtual business consultant and social media strategist, and I help all kinds of businesses with their day-to-day tasks in their business that can be overwhelming or they just don't have the time or expertise to complete them themselves. I have a fabulous team that works alongside me they all have their own individual skill sets. So it really does allow my business to be a one-stop shop for business owners to come to me for extra support along their entrepreneurial journey.
I love that. So, Brianna, what is new? What have you been doing this last month? Because I know that we had to reschedule our program because you had some exciting things happening. So let's chat about that.
Yeah. So, well, first off, my boyfriend and I finally found our dream home. So we had to take some time off to do the move, which was a little stressful. And for other listeners who are in Edmonton and area, know that the beginning of July was very, very hot. So that was a lot of fun to move in that heat. But we're officially all moved in. We're not necessarily settled in quite yet, but it's definitely feeling like home and like we've been here all along. So that's been absolutely wonderful. And I can't wait to make many, many memories here. But also on another note, which is extremely exciting for me and something, I always kind of had on my bucket list, but I didn't think I would achieve this goal so young and so quickly. But I've actually co-authored a book this year.
Yay. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to be talking about today because today is the pre-launch of this amazing book.
Yeah. So we are officially open for pre-orders on iBooks right now. So if you have an iPhone, an iPad, any kind of Apple product, you can pre-order right now. Our paperback copies will be available for pre-order very, very soon. So if you have an Android, you'll be able to get in on that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the book itself, my component of the book, what you get with it when you pre-order today. So, let's jump into it. So,
I love that.
Yeah, so this book is called The Female Entrepreneur's Playbook, Secret Strategies from 20-plus Women from Around the World for Building a Business You Love and Getting Paid for It.
Ooh, I love the title.
Yeah. So one thing that is very dear to my heart, as well as many of the other women who are part of this book, is having some sort of charitable aspect of this book. And one of the things that we've decided to do is that every single cent that comes from the pre-order, as well as, you know, in the future, you know, even 5 years down the road, every single cent from the sales of this book actually gets donated to the Thirst Project. And the Thirst Project, their whole mission is to work with the support of young people from around the world to end the global water crisis by building freshwater wells in developing countries that need safe, clean drinking water. And I pulled up some stats because, you know, before I even learned about the Thirst Project, you know, I had learned about the global water crisis and, you know, kind of the different things of how, you know, people around the world are struggling. But 50% of half the children today that are malnourished is associated with unsafe water and inadequate sanitation and poor hygiene. And so we are very, very fortunate being in North America, Canada, to have access to clean drinking water. And I think it's something that, you know, we take for granted. And not everyone has that. So that's something that I'm really, really glad that there is an aspect of this book where, yes, we're getting our name out there and whatnot and achieving our goals, but there's an aspect of it that we are helping other people.
I love that. And what a great cause that it's going to, the proceeds. So tell us what your portion of this book is, because I'm excited about that, because I know that there's so much that you're probably sharing.
Yes. So writing this book was definitely a feat. You know, I wanted to talk about my hero's journey, and it's an essential part of my brand and my story and how I've gotten to where I am with my business today. And I've had some real struggles in my life, and I do share that in my chapter. And, you know, from physical to emotional and mental health aspects of my life, I've gone through some traumatic experiences with relationships with past employers, and I go into detail about, you know, how I was able to overcome accepting less and then changing my mindset and knowing that I deserve better, and how I was able to get to that point in my life where I was able to stand up for myself, say no, and get to a place where I was truly within myself empowered.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, as I said, there's 20 plus women who are part of this book, and we all were given these, and that's how our chapters were based. And so we got to pick which questions we wanted to answer based on our life story and our business's story and how we got to where we are and how we could, you know, give advice-fueled answers to empower women to lean into their zone of genius and create a business that they love and get paid for it. And, you know, talking about why failure often leads to success and how to avoid, you know, the mistakes that we made in the beginning and, you know, what you need to do in order to generate revenue fast. And I'm so, so excited to read all the other women's chapters. You know, I'm so excited for everyone to read mine. And even if you just take, you know, one golden nugget out of the book, you don't even have to read a single page of the book. But if you pre-order on iBooks, you actually get access to over $1,500 of free bonuses. And I have the bonus sheet actually up here, and I'll give you a little snippet about what's included. So out of these women, they all offered some sort of course or, workbook or something like that they could offer these women. Even men who want to get in on this and, a little bit more about themselves and being an entrepreneur and seeing how women entrepreneurs run and are able to create massive wealth for themselves within themselves as well as monetary. So just to give you a snippet, there is a couple bonuses about talking about self-care as a business owner and how to create a routine for yourself that, talking about how to delegate. And I know even for myself and my clients, a lot of my clients, that's something that they struggle with. You build your business from the ground up. And then when you get to a point where you hit a certain growth, it's, oh my God, like I have no time left in the day to do this stuff, and a lot of people get into business for themselves to get a life. And then you are in your business and then you realize, oh crap, like I have no personal life anymore. My business is kind of overrunning that. So there's a really cool workbook in here that helps you get into that mindset of like the certain things that you can let go of and give to someone else to do. There's one that's called the $1 Million Productivity Hack. There's the Fierce Feminine Journal plus energy healing activations, craft the perfect pitch, how to find your joy zone. You're a writer, start writing. There's so many good stuff in here, and I'm so excited to even, I bought a copy myself just so I can have access to that stuff, because I know out of that list that I'm looking at right now, there's so much that I can use even. And I've been in my business for 18 plus months now.
That is fantastic. Those sound so amazing. And a lot of our listeners, that's some of the things that people are looking for too, is like, how do I learn how to do this? You have that opportunity to pre-order the book that is going to be absolutely amazing with all these dynamic women. Plus you get all of this stuff for free. Like that is a huge thing.
Exactly. And it's for 99 cents. Like it's a no-brainer.
That's exactly it, And how do you had mentioned that they can go onto their iPhones and they can do that. And you said basically today, that's the only way people can get a hold of that?
So the book is always going to be available on iBooks. So throughout the entire sale of the book. But right now it's only available on iBooks currently. And so all you have to do is search in there, Female Entrepreneurs Playbook, and you should be able to find it. Our publisher is Patricia Wooster. And also to Candace, I did send you the link, so you'll be able to put the link in the show notes as well as on social media. So people who are interested in pre-ordering today, they can make sure that they are able to find it.
Oh, that is excellent. And I will be posting that on our social media today, everyone, so that you can check it out. This has been great. Oh, so what else? You've got this big thing that is happening. We're going to be promoting your book today. What other things are happening in your life?
Well, one of the things that I typically find is summer is always kind of a slowdown period, and a lot of industries are different, but on a generalization, a lot of people like to take their vacations in the summer, and I am 100% in support of that. So my vacation, I took 2 weeks off to, one, to move, but also to sit down and reflect on how far I've actually come and how quickly I've been able to achieve my goals. And that's something that I highly recommend to my clients and, everyone. It's so important to take that break. And, on my last episode with you, I did talk about that it is okay to take that break and give yourself permission to unplug from social media, from the internet in general, is a part of self-care. And I find that summer is the best excuse to do that.
Well, and you know what? I think a lot of people are starting to do that. I have noticed a lot of people have posted things, they're taking this time off. They're not going to be here anymore. If it's an emergency, to give them a call. And you know what? I think that is absolutely fantastic. A lot of people, it's really difficult to take time for yourself. We don't always have that opportunity to take, vacations. And this is a great opportunity, as you were saying, is just to unwind. There's a lot of stuff out there, and sometimes it's very overwhelming to our mental health.
100%. And, in my chapter, that was something I discussed a little bit about burnout and how when I was working in real estate, I didn't know how to say no. And I felt, because of the position that I was in, I was lower on the food chain. I hadn't worked my way up quite yet. That I just couldn't say no. So anytime someone would ask me something, I would do it. And, I feel like a lot of people, because I wouldn't say no, they had this expectation that, yes, they could rely on me 100%, but at the same time, it was creating an unhealthy work-life balance. And it was something that I really had to unlearn. And I find as women, we tend to be people pleasers. And, it's not a bad thing, but personally as well as professionally, it's really important to have boundaries. And this is something that I educate a lot of my coaching clients on, is in the beginning when you are onboarding a new client, it's really important to set those expectations. So that was something in the beginning of my business I struggled with, because I constantly wanted to be there for my clients, day and night. It was really hard for me to say no. Something would come up at, say, 8:30 at night, and I would hop on my computer or I would answer the phone. But the biggest thing is, in order to continue to create success for yourself, you have to honor your boundaries. And so when you set up those expectations and boundaries with your clients and you stick to them, they will ultimately learn those boundaries and expectations, and they will respect them. And that's the biggest component of it. Because if you break it, even once, that expectation is there that, oh, okay, well, I called and you answered. So if I call again at that time, you will answer and you will do it. And the thing for me is really important is my weekends. So when I was in real estate, I worked weekends constantly. My only days off were Friday. And even if then, I would still go show houses and still work. So it was definitely unhealthy. And now I'm very strict about my weekends, where I won't look at my emails. I have my clients set up on different forms of communication. So Voxer is an example, which is basically like, it's an app and it's like a walkie-talkie. So instead of them texting me, I have them Voxer me so that they stay there, and then I can listen to them on Monday. And if it is something that's like extremely urgent, I have a team that I can outsource that to, or if it's something that I need to do, it's on an emergency basis. But it's something that I very highly recommend for any entrepreneur in business to, create your boundaries, set the expectations, and respect them yourself, and then your clients will respect them as well.
I love that. That is something that everybody should learn. I know quite a few individuals that they have a really difficult time, and, I've definitely seen that in them, where they are burnt out, but they have that difficult time saying no. And so what you're saying resonates with all ages, all businesses, all everything, all both gender. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that everybody really needs to be aware of. And I think that would help so much.
Yeah, and when you get into that zone of burnout, you start to dread things. And, you got into business for a reason, and you don't ever want to be in that headspace where it's, you're dreading starting to go back to work on Monday or whatever. That as soon as you get that kind of vibe or that thought in your mind, that's when you're in that burnout phase. And as soon as you get that feeling, it's okay to take the day off, reschedule that meeting, don't answer that phone call, put that autoresponder on your email, unplug from social media. It's okay. And like you said before, it's women and men and any kind of businesses now, they are starting to realize that. And, we've had a hell of, the last, I don't even know how many months with the pandemic where it was really hard because we were working from home. But I feel like more and more people now are understanding that and prioritizing self-care, which I love seeing.
I think that your advice today has absolutely been brilliant, Brianna. This was exactly what we all needed to hear. I'm excited, so excited for you with being a co-author in your brand new book. I know it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And what I'm going to ask you is, do you have any last minute tips or anything you'd love to share with our listeners?
I do, as always. So something that I always incorporate into my success routine is I love using affirmations. Everyone uses affirmations for a different reason. You can use it for manifesting things into your life. You can use it as just a positive way to start your day. For me, it's to help me create the mindset for the week and to be in a positive mood. So I have 3 affirmations that I use and that I really, really like. So they go as follows. I can be both a work in progress and an impactful leader in my industry. I do not have to be a pillar of perfection for my clients to work with me. I am always attracting clients who are in the need of my message and my vulnerability.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
And thank you so much for giving me the platform to share all of this. I'm eternally grateful.
It is such a pleasure. We love having you on the Divas. We consider you family, and we thank you so much for, just being an amazing woman and doing everything that you're doing out there.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that.
Well, I'm looking forward to your next show, but thank you so much for coming on today, and a huge, huge thank you to all of our listeners. Make sure that you check out Brianna. Brianna, I was going to say, tell them what your social media link is so that our new listeners can check that out also.
Yes. So on Facebook, it's Limitless Impact Virtual Management, and then my handle on Instagram is Limitless Impact. So make sure to go check my social media out there. I do have a website as well. It's limitlessimpact.ca. Also, my link in the bio on my Instagram does go to where you can find the book as well. So if you're looking for that, you can find it there.
Oh, thank you so much. Perfect. So all of you, you've got that information, but I also will be posting that on our social media today too. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning into today's program. I know that you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Brianna is such an amazing woman. She has a lot of other programs on the Divas That Care that we have recorded, so make sure that you check her out there too. That you all have a fantastic day. You check out Brianna's book. You order a book so that you can get all that amazing free stuff, but also to be able to read her amazing story. You won't want to miss that. Thank you again, Brianna. Thank you to our listeners, and I hope you have a great day. Take care for now.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.